Here outside the Red Bull factory, it's currently lunchtime, so there's a lot of comings and there's a lot of goings. And Craig, we've been stood here for a while, and whilst nobody is speaking officially and all communication has been handled from Austria, we've managed to grab a couple of words with a workforce that were very loyal to Christian Horner and are hugely saddened by today's news.
Yeah, we saw one young lady in tears. We didn't speak to her. Others talked about being gutted, Crofty, that he has gone. He was very much the leader here, wasn't he? And maybe people from the outside saw him as a little bit of an anti-hero in Formula One. He cut a figure that not everyone, he was a bit of a Marmite man, I suppose. Not everyone was not to everyone's taste. But in here, the loyalty was absolute because, as you point out, he won them things.
Yes. 14 World Championships, 127 races, so 124 races, 107 poles, 287 podiums. One employee that we spoke to had been here for 20 years and has said that Christian unified the workforce here. Was a man that was never afraid to stand and have a chat. We understand that it was a very emotional speech that Christian gave at 10 o'clock this morning here at Red Bull Racing HQ, and he broke down on occasion and received a massive ovation as well from the workforce here. You know, at a site that 20 years ago, if you'd have come here, well, you wouldn't.
It was 2 or 3 units, I think, Crofty, exactly. Wasn't it? It's now 10 or 12. Yeah. I think it's 5 times the size it was. It has an engine power plant now online.
Over the back, and then it has a wind tunnel over to that side as well. And you know, the expansion is so much that we can't get any closer than here, because beyond the public footpath, that is all now Red Bull property, and they have expanded. He has been a brilliant team principal for this Red Bull team. Lauren Mekis now comes in. He will know a lot of the workforce. He's based here 2 or 3 times a week, even before getting that promotion. But it has been interesting to see the sadness on the faces of the staff, and also on Christian Horner as well, who left at 11:25 this morning. I know that for a fact because I was stood right there as he came past in his car and out of the gates for what would now be the last time.
Yeah, unless quirks of fate bring him back for a second term somehow or other. So in terms of the how long was this in the offing for? Well-placed people, senior figures from within Formula One telling me it was not absolutely certain, and Horner would not have been aware of it at Silverstone itself. There's been some speculation that he was allowed that as a kind of a last home hurrah before he left. But according to people we've spoken to, that is not the case. We believe the decision was finalized on Monday. It would have been communicated to him then, and to Red Bull's major partners, of which there are quite a lot in these years of success they have. And then, as you say, he came into the factory and made his speech. One thing I would say is that Lauren Mekis has taken over. Helmut Marko's on site today. And for those that wish to cast this as a kind of Marko stroke Austrian head office stroke Verstappen party winning a power struggle here, is it true to a degree, or are there more factors at work, would you say?
I think there's probably more factors at work, and I'm sure that will be discussed at length on the podcast here. It's a combination of matters. It's not just one particular incident, but support from Red Bull and senior figures in Austria as well in the statement about Christian, support from Ford too, who are partnering, of course, next year with Red Bull for their engine. And I know that you've got a statement from the Ford Motor Company about Christian's departure.
Well, it's interesting because he was very much in charge of the engine. In fact, it persuaded Dietrich Mateschitz that they should go and build their own rather than then buddy up with Volkswagen Group and Porsche, who wanted the control. Well, Ford have said this.
It's amazing for the sport. F1 drivers react to return of Perez and Bottas for Cadillac in 2026. The current grid have reacted to the upcoming returns of Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez, with the pair set to partner at Cadillac in 2026 after a year out each. The F1 paddock has been reacting to the news that Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas will both return to the grid for Cadillac in 2026, with a number of drivers welcoming the announcement, as well as giving their take on the challenge ahead for the veteran racers. Amid months of speculation over who the new team would choose as their lineup for what will be their inaugural season in Formula One, it was confirmed on Tuesday that the squad have opted for Perez and Bottas in a pairing that brings with it a wealth of experience. One of the first to give their reaction during Thursday's media day at the Dutch Grand Prix was Max Verstappen, Perez's former teammate at Red Bull between 2021 and 2024. The world champion said, "When I saw the news come out, I sent a message to him. Of course, I'm very happy for him that he got a seat. He's a great guy and we always got along very well, so I'm happy to see him back on the grid. How he's going to perform, I think, will also depend on how good the car is going to be, so it's a bit difficult to say at the moment. But it's a new opportunity, and I'm sure he's very excited for it." Perez was left without a seat in 2025 following a difficult campaign with Red Bull last year, resulting in both parties agreeing to part ways with immediate effect at the end of the 2024 season. Pushed on whether he expects the Mexican to get back to his best at Cadillac, Verstappen responded, "It's a fresh start now." From his side, one half of a season, or a season doesn't define what you can do. I think he's also quite easy in his approach to that. Some people maybe dwell on it a bit more, but for Checo it's a new start, he'll be excited, and new cars also. And he has shown a lot of great things even before he got to Red Bull, and during the Red Bull times. He just needs to go in there, enjoy it again, and have a good time. With Perez having raced for the likes of McLaren and Force India prior to his Red Bull stint, Verstappen believes that this experience could prove valuable for the new Cadillac outfit. He has driven for a lot of different teams, so he knows a lot of things about how teams work, the Dutchman explained. Every single team works a little bit in a different way, so that's already, I think, a very interesting trait. That sometimes it's nice to understand what people are good at, or what some are worse at. That's how it goes. Another driver to understand the benefit of experience is Fernando Alonso, who echoed Verstappen's view when asked about Cadillac's decision to opt for that asset over youth. "It brings for sure some good things in the way that you understand the cars, you understand the needs," said the Aston Martin driver. They both have been working with top teams, Valtteri and Mercedes, Checo and Red Bull, so they know the philosophy that you need to apply every weekend to stay at the top. I think for a new team, for sure, they bring some great experience and some great value. I'm happy for them, happy to welcome them again on the grid and have fun next year. Pierre Gasly, meanwhile, hailed the return of two unique personalities to the sport, with the Alpine racer commenting, "I think it's amazing for the sport. They are two amazing characters, very successful F1 drivers and being very much part of it over the last 10 years, getting race wins, fighting for podiums, and they are two unique characters in their personalities. I think it's great to have them both back in the paddock, and I'm sure they'll add good spice to the racing." Alex Albon, meanwhile, reflected on how much of a challenge returning after a year on the sidelines can be, having experienced this himself when he found